This program was produced by and first broadcast on Radio Kidnappers, a community access media station. Thanks to New Zealand On Air for making this type of programming possible.
Hi, Andrew Austin here, and welcome to my show, Austin On Air, right here on Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. My guest today is Leighton Baker, the leader of the new Conservative Party. Kia ora, Leighton, and welcome to the show.
No, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
Excellent, yes. And Leighton, when people hear the name Conservative Party, they think of Colin Craig. Is your party the one that he fronted over the past few years?
He founded the Conservative Party, but he had nothing to do with our party. The new Conservative was born out of the Conservative Party, but he pulled out of that back in 2016, so he had nothing to do with it since then.
Okay, and what makes this new version so different from the previous incarnations of the Conservative Party?
Well, the similarities are a lot of policies which are based around freedom and family. The differences is the team that we're working with and the people that are pushing us forward. Okay,
you've been part of the Conservative Party for a long time and have stood in a number of elections. Why do you think this party's fortunes will change this time?
Well, the policies of the Conservative Party actually nearly got it to 5%, and as you'll know, no new party has ever got into Parliament without a sitting MP jumping ship. So to get to where we got to was huge. The reason it fell over was a personality, not a policy issue. So we've carried the policies over. We believe they do work. We believe that a lot of New Zealanders really believe that family are important, to be valued in society, and that our freedoms are really important. So on those 2 points, we're a party that a lot of people actually agree with the policies we're presenting. So it's the policies we believe will work, and so that's why we're promoting it.
And have you got a united party? Because, also people look back and just think of infighting and legal battles and that fairly or unfairly. So you believe you've got a united front going forward?
No, absolutely. We've got a great team. We meet every week, not in person. We do a lot of electronic meetings. Obviously, we're spread around the country, but we meet every week just to keep that unity, make sure it is strong, keep on the same page. We don't always agree on everything, and that's important. We have good, robust discussions, but we come to consensus and move forward as a team. So it's been a great team to work with over the last few years, and I think we look forward to working with them in 2020.
And tell us a bit about your background, where you're from and that, and how you got into this.
I'm a builder by trade, actually. I enjoy building. I did my apprenticeship in Auckland and then moved down to Canterbury, where I live now with my wife, and there's 2 young children there, and now we've got 4, so, and 2 grandchildren. So my motivation to get involved in politics was all around democracy. It was around the fact that we were having citizens-initiated referenda, and even if 80 or 90% of the population supported a point, no government has ever honoured a citizens-initiated referendum. My point was, as a builder, I'm responsible for everything that happens on my building site. Any mistakes or errors that comes out of my pocket, it doesn't matter if it was me or someone else, I'm responsible for it. And I've got to do what my clients ask me to do. That's their money, and they're employing me, so I'm responsible to them. And I thought to myself, how does this work where we have so-called elected representatives that will not actually listen to the people? And then as I looked at it, I found we have no upper house, we have no constitution. In fact, as a population, we have no way of controlling or influencing the government in between elections. And to me, that is not healthy democracy. I had a quote recently which I thought probably sums up reasonably well. We will have a discussion with words, or we will have a discussion with force, and nobody wants to have a discussion with force. And making referendum binding allows all the people in New Zealand to have a discussion with words, which I think is a much better way for a healthy society to go.
And when you were younger, what was your political party that you supported? Because obviously the Conservatives, as they stand, weren't around in those days.
No, I mean, I left school when I worked on a farm for a couple of years, so I remember voting National my first few times out. Because I believe they were a party that represented the freedoms of people to choose what they want to do, and the economy and people being able to reward for work. I still believe people should be rewarded for effort. I don't really believe in the quality of outcome. I think people get different outcomes based on how much effort they put in. So, and I think for a healthy society, we need to realise that everybody's different. That some people will be those self-employed that get up at ridiculous in the morning, go all day, and then do bookwork all night, and there should be a reward for that rather than some people choose just to start at 9 and finish at 5, and that's all they want to have to do with work, and that's okay as well, but there should be a different reward for those two situations.
Yeah, and just get into your sort of basic philosophy as a politician. You've discussed sort of some of the ideals and that, but what is your fundamental political belief that you want to carry through in this election?
Our main points are that is freedom and family.
Yeah.
And so my fundamental belief is we need to have binding referenda. We need to have some way for the people to actually hold the government to account between elections, because otherwise they seem to run rampant. And I believe New Zealand society, our Western culture as a whole, has been based on those two things, one being the Greek democracy, where we've been allowed to talk about things and debate things and disagree on things, but have a robust discussion and come up with a solution we think works. And the other side has been the morality of a nation based on the Judeo-Christian ethic of morality, and those two pillars of what our society has been based on. And so I believe it's important that we are allowed to discuss those things, talk about those things, and work out where we as a nation want to go, rather than being dictated to by very few politicians.
Will your party be campaigning as a Christian party, and who are you actually appealing to?
No, we're not campaigning as a Christian party. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying the belief system of our nation. We're appealing to New Zealanders who actually believe in the freedoms that are fought for by our ancestors in World War I and II, the freedoms to make decisions as a nation, freedom of choice, freedom of association, freedom of speech, freedom of belief, and people that believe and understand that the families are actually a vital, important part of that, that children actually want to be brought up in a home with a loving mum and dad. That's what they really want. We need to support that as much as we can as a nation for our health, our success, whether it be financial, physical, mental. All that is based on strong families, and the stronger the families, the more successful the nation. So people who have those values, around freedom and families, that's the ones we appeal to.
Even if the party isn't Christian, are you Christian in your personal life?
Well, personally I am, yeah. It's my personal belief, but not even everyone on our borders. But, in my personal belief it is.
Okay. Now the political landscape seems to be getting a little bit crowded, and there's this new Sustainable New Zealand entering the fray. What is your point of difference? Because there are sort of, I suppose if you think that sort of right of centre, it seems to be a little bit fuller than it was before.
A few points of difference. We believe in being reasonably practical. So one point of difference is we disagree with the zero carbon bill, for instance. I cannot see that giving any benefit to New Zealand at all. We produce a tiny amount of carbon compared to what the rest of the world does. To destroy our economy or hurt our economy significantly for absolutely no net gain seems unwise to me. Our farmers produce enough food for 40 million people. That's 8 times our population. Why would we reduce that? People need food. It's an essential part of society. When we calculate the carbon for farms, we don't take into account the hedgerows, native forests, any grass. They produce anything that grows on their property apart from exotic forests, and that to me seems unfair. Every living plant consumes carbon, so why would you penalise farmers for producing carbon but not credit them for all the carbon that's sequestered? So, we do have a point of difference. We're saying actually we don't believe this whole carbon panic that's going on now is going to destroy us in 12 years. We believe that actually paying carbon credits and the powers that call that is going to destroy our economy far more than any change in the climate that we can personally affect. So, we've got a stand that's different to most other parties on that. We believe that, we should be looking at practical ways that we can save our environment and target those, come up with solutions that are aimed at specific pollution areas and then export those solutions. That's a way a small nation like us can actually influence the environment. But destroying our economy, hurting our farmers, putting up with our fuel prices based on a theory that may or may not actually make any difference does not seem like good governance to us.
So the question is, do you believe that climate change is man-made or caused by man?
I believe man influences climate, but I don't think he controls it. So there's a big difference. And then when you look at the actual figures on it, there's too much variability of what other things can control our climate. The climate of the history of the world has been much hotter, much colder without any of man's influence. So even if man does influence it, he doesn't control it, and it may go hotter, it may go colder, no matter what man does. So then, therefore, you've got to ask yourselves, are we better off investing in ways to mitigate climate change than we are trying to control something we don't control? And the problem we've got is we will reduce our ability to mitigate the effects of climate change by losing so much finance on carbon, which we cannot actually control.
Yeah, well, we'll get on more onto some of your policies further on, but just the obvious question that when a party sort of in the centre or centre-right sort of stands and that for the elections is the National Party, they're always looking for potential coalition partners. Do you have any agreement with them at all?
We've got no formal agreements with any other party at this stage.
Do you plan to get one with them?
We'll talk to other parties as time goes by. Our big motivation, our big effort at the moment is actually going through building our support base. So we're actually engaged in a bit of a road trip at the moment. We've been through the middle of the centre of the North Island. We started in Wellington and we've been up to New Plymouth and Te Kuiti, Tokoroa, Te Awamutu, Napier, Taupo, off the Rotorua and Tauranga. So it's really getting to talking to our support base, motivating them, inspiring them, getting people on board with us. That's our big focus at the moment. Obviously, the influence we can have will be determined by how much support we get. So getting support has got to be the main focus at the moment.
And what is the feeling so far? Do you think there are people out there that will vote for you?
We're getting a really good turnout at meetings. We went to one wing meeting. It wasn't a huge meeting by any standards, and one of the ladies there said to us she goes to every meeting in that area, and she's never been to one so well attended and so well attended by young people. So, yeah, we're getting good turnout. We're getting very positive feedback. There's a lot of people that are concerned about some of the policies that have been brought out and some of the attacks on personal freedom. A lot of people concerned about the way the Farm Amendment Act was rushed through without proper discussion, without following due process. So it is about giving people the hope that there is a party that will actually let them have some influence over government. As far as I understand, we're the only party advocating finding citizens-initiated referenda. So, that to me gives the people of New Zealand choice.
So how many candidates are you going to be standing, and where do you believe is your best chance?
We're trying to stand candidates as many electorates as possible. Obviously, we're just looking for the right people to stand. We've announced 4 candidates that we think are very strong in their areas, that they'll be concentrating on the candidate vote as well as the party vote. And so that's Deborah Burnside and Napier there.
Yes.
She's a lovely lady and she's really keen, so she's going to be working hard in Napier. We've got Ikalei, our deputy leader, and he's staying in Botany, and so he's going to have a good influence there. A great speaker, great presenter, and a strong guy, so we're pleased to have him on board. We've got Mel Taylor up in Northland. She's lived there for years and a lot of experience in the local area there, and then we've got Helen Houghton down in Christchurch East. So she's a lovely lady. I've been involved in a whole lot of issues there in the East, and we're really looking forward to seeing what she can do there for the people of Christchurch East. So we've got those 4 strong candidates that are going for the candidate vote, and we will hope to see candidates in most other electorates by the time the election's announced later next year.
But surely the focus would be party vote, because you would want to get over that threshold, 5% threshold, to get into Parliament.
Absolutely. We'll be aiming for the party vote. Yeah. And like we say at every meeting we go to, the amount of influence we have will be determined by the people that vote for us. And it's not, we can do our bit as people going around talking, but at the end of the day, we're a board and a team that are all voluntary. We've got one full-time worker now, which is Elliot, but apart from that, all of us are voluntary. So we can only do our bit, and it's up to our supporters to talk to their friends and get them to go to our website, have a look at our policies and see if they agree or disagree with them. And so that's how we're building momentum.
Now, you mentioned Deborah Burnside, who I think previously did try to become a National Party candidate in Napier. Who else is in this area, in sort of the Tukituk and maybe Central Hawke's Bay? Do you have candidates there?
We haven't. Those are only 4 candidates that we've actually announced today.
Okay.
So we have other people that have applied, and there's a bit of an application process that they're going through. And once they've been through that and been approved, then they'll be announced.
Okay, but you do expect there's a potential that you will have candidates in other areas of Hawke's Bay?
Oh, absolutely. yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, I'm sure you can have firm views on this. How do you rate the current Labour-led coalition government, and why do you rate them the way you do?
I'm probably quite disappointed in what's happened in New Zealand recently, and my reasons for that is, for me, good law is clearly defined and easy to uphold, and when you introduce law, you do it by proper discussion with the people of New Zealand, and I feel this government has rushed through some things without proper discussion. They've been failures, and then other things they've promised to do, they haven't achieved either. So, you know, the housing's a classic one. They got involved in housing with no idea what they were doing, and the whole Kiwi bill was an abject failure, and I'd hate to think how much money was lost in that. You know, as a tax-paying, self-employed person, any time the government wastes money, it's money that I've paid in tax that I see wasted, which is frustrating. It's money I could have used in my business or could have used in my family that the government has just thrown away. So government waste is a huge problem in New Zealand. The $1 billion or so that was wasted on the first-year free tertiary education, but there's no real benefit to New Zealand in that. And $1,000 million is mind-watering. I don't know what you get paid at the radio station there, but even for a radio announcer like yourself, $1,000 million for no gain for New Zealand is actually really poor governance. So, you know, if they really wanted to make a difference, you would have thought maybe the third year free tertiary would have encouraged people that have worked hard, rewarded them for their effort, given them a wee bit of break to finish their studies. But it's policies like that that don't seem to look at causation. They sort of think, we'll chuck money at it and that'll solve it, and it doesn't really. And that's the issue. And it may be, I don't know, lack of life experience, I'm not sure, but even the free kids' school lunches, you know, it sounds really good because we know kids learn better with a full tummy. But if you're not actually addressing the cause of why they're going without a school lunch, you're not really helping them because, yeah, you may feed them during the week, but in the weekend and in the holidays, they're missing out on that food. So if you're going to invest money in that area, you've got to invest in finding why are they not coming to school with lunch. You know, we don't know if it's, you know, some of the householders lost their job or they've got taken out by loan sharks, or whether there's drug dealing or broken families or abuse or extra family members come over. And because we don't know the causation of them not going to school with lunch, we can't actually help them. And just giving them lunch is like putting a Band-Aid on a pussy sore. We haven't dealt with the issue, and it won't get better unless you deal with the actual issue. So I really would like the government to look at causation. What are the root causes of the issues? Deal with those, and then you can bring solutions. But just throwing money at things never really solves it. And I get the feeling, and I think a lot of New Zealanders get the feeling that's what this government's doing. It thinks it can throw taxpayer money at an issue and that will solve it. And really, it doesn't.
Now, some say that the Labour Party is caught in a sort of role where they have to appease Winston, and this does affect some of the things that they come out with. What would your view on that be?
Well, they've formed a coalition, and then in coalition is going to be debate, absolutely. And that's to be expected. You know, there's three different parties that are working together. At some stage, each one of them has to give way to one of the others. So that's going to be the same case for all three of them. Would have had to do things that they probably didn't want to, simply to appease the other two members of the coalition. Yeah.
Now, there are potentially two referendums coming up at the next election, cannabis reform and potentially the end-of-life bill. As a conservative party, I expect you'll be campaigning for a no in both cases, or what is your position on this?
Yeah, we would. And again, it's from life experience. You know, I spent 6.5 years as a trade tutor with young guys that weren't doing well at school, and seeing the effects in cannabis on them, I just cannot see any reason why we would say this is a good thing to bring into New Zealand. I don't believe there's anyone locked up in prison for just smoking cannabis. So, you know, it's not going to reduce that. And it is going to really hurt our young people. And internationally, where they've legalised it, the use has gone up, the use of other drugs have gone up, the harm has gone up, education's dropped. There's actually no good stats from legalising it. And then if we look at the other drug that is legalised in New Zealand, regulated, controlled, legalised by the government, alcohol, you know, it causes something like $8 billion, and was it $5 to $8 billion worth of harm every year? Why on earth would we introduce something else, which is hazardous as well? It seems to make no logical reason to me. And so I think if New Zealanders are told the actual truth about what THC does, the effects on it, how people are actually purifying it more, and it's gone from being 0.2% of cannabis up to 20% in the latest batch of cannabis, and then they're refining it to 99% pure to be inhaled. I think if people actually understood the harm and what's happening to it and how big business are using it, most New Zealanders wouldn't support it. So we'll be trying to educate people, obviously, on what we see as the harms of cannabis. But, there's people on our board who have been working with at-risk youth on the streets. One of them has had 400 of New Zealand's most high at-risk young people through their home, and they are adamant that this drug is just totally detrimental to New Zealand. So, based on experience, what people have seen and done and heard, we'd be voting against cannabis. And the euthanasia, I firmly believe the government's role is to protect the citizens and then encourage and enable them to succeed. Not micromanage them or control them, but encourage and enable them to succeed. And I think the problem with euthanasia is it says that it's okay to take someone's life, then all of a sudden there are going to be vulnerable people that are that succumb to this. And unfortunately, that's the experience that's happened overseas. I was listening to a guy talk who did the referrals and the research on euthanasia cases in Belgium, so he'd had to go over about 4,000 cases, just review them, make sure they keep with the law, and he totally turned on what he believed. He supported euthanasia to start with, but after reviewing all those cases, he's saying it's just not worth it. We're losing too many vulnerable people. So we were going through educating people, saying, hey, look, yeah, there's a few people that this law may help, but unfortunately the risk to so many has got too great for us to actually legalise this. So, I'd vote no to it, but again, we believe in binding referenda, so what the people in New Zealand choose, we would honour that decision.
Because you have referred in the past to social experiment politics of left-leaning governments and that. Apart from what we've just spoken about, what other examples of that do you have?
I guess it's when we disincentivise families. So you have a greater reward for not staying in a stable relationship than being in one, and the idea of that you can have whatever family you want and you're all the same, whereas the empirical evidence and the research I've seen says it's just not the case. And even with working with the young people and talking with prison officers and youth workers and police, it just seems that most of the people in our justice system come from a one-parent family, so they come from a broken home. So, when we look at that, and if we understand that, then surely we should be incentivising long-term relationships. We should be incentivising, encouraging, equipping people to stay together wherever they can. Now, I know that we don't live in a perfect world and marriages break up, and my parents split when I was young, so I understand that. But if we actually look at the evidence and what's happening in society, the natural family unit of mum, dad and kids actually works, and it gives people the best chance of succeeding in life. So if that's what the evidence says, surely we should be encouraging that. And when we socially say it doesn't matter, when we can speak from evidence it does, we actually experiment with people's lives, and I think it's detrimental.
And now we're coming to the end of the show. It's amazing how quickly 25 minutes goes. But just briefly, your main economic sort of planks of your economic policy, if you like, going into the election.
Yeah, so we believe New Zealanders actually already pay enough tax. Part of the economic problem we have in New Zealand is how much money we actually waste. And I quite often quote a guy called Zig Ziglar who said it's going to save, spend 10% more, spend 10% less. So we really believe that the government needs to tighten its belt and look at how it spends the money, spending it wisely to incentivise growth, but not foolishly throwing money at issues that can't solve with just money. We are investigating an alternative tax system which may be fairer, but we haven't got all the results back from the people that are researching that for us. So that's going to come out in the new year. We will wait and see what that says. We obviously don't want to promote something that will not work, so we've given it to economists and some mathematicians to look at how that tax regime may influence different people on different levels. But at the end of the day, we in New Zealand, we live in a beautiful country, and we can do really well. We've got the natural resources here. We actually just need to use them, and we don't need to be hampered by rules and laws that will restrict our economy, like the Zero Carbon Bill, like the Paris Accord, with actually no real discernible benefit. So in regards to economy, we believe it does need to be freed up. We do need to free people to make decisions with their money and not artificially restrict them with government interference.
Okay, well, Leighton Baker, thank you so much for your time. I wish we had more time, but we've come to the end, and all the best in the elections.
Thank you very much for having us on. It's been a pleasure chatting.
Great. And to the listeners, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
This program was produced by and first broadcast on Radio Kidnappers, a community access media station. Thanks to New Zealand On Air for making this type of programming possible.